Hey, the RazoRock Mamba is going to be the razor for today. This is the original Mamba. There's a 70 that's come out recently. I probably won't grab up one of those, but I do really like this one. I like it because it's just so smooth while still being pretty efficient. The brush we're going to use today has been soaking for a couple hours. It is the Semogue 1800, and I really like it. It's maybe 4 or 5 uses into it, and it's very comfortable. It broke in really quickly, and all I've been doing is giving it a few days between uses to make sure that it dries completely and splits and all that, which it has done some of. And then I just soak it for a couple hours prior to the shave. It's kind of an experimental break-in process that I'm trying out right now with several boars. The soap today is going to be this test base from Oz Shaving. I volunteered and they sent one to me, and it is in that family of the new soaps, like maybe the Icarus base from Declaration Grooming, that are lower structure, more glue-like, almost slime-like, rather than kind of fatty lathers. And so it's in the, it is kind of in the trend right now. It was very slick yesterday. My first pass though was a little on the dry, wet side, a little too thin, and so in future passes yesterday, I dried my skin off in between each pass, and that turned it into a nice balance. And I used 3 teaspoons yesterday of water added to make the lather. So maybe let's try 2 or 2.5 and see what happens. I will be using the different brush. Today's the 1800. Yesterday was a Zenith, I believe, B10, if I recall correctly. The blade today is the same one I've been using recently, Feather, and it's got 18 uses on it. So it looks like this is going to be number 19. And I love that pesky glue is now kind of worn away, and it doesn't stick in the packaging like it used to. The Mamba, we'll unscrew the handle, set this is just the way I do it. Set that lightly in there. Now, it's not going to be as good to lay the blade right here because the posts are actually on the base plate right there. And so you just put the blade on the base plate, and then the middle post in. And now what I do, I don't even try to align anything right now. I'll start screwing it in until it just touches. Okay, obviously I don't want to pinch my fingers over here. Okay, now I will look at it and kind of worry about the blade being in the right spot, and it usually just works its way in there just fine. And then as soon as I can confirm that everything's together, I tighten it the rest of the way. And it does come out of the razor quite a bit, but because of the guard being here, sticking where it is, and the height of the top cap there, it ends up to be a nice mild razor. Very cool. And this, I believe, is the titanium handle. Got a good deal on it as a used razor. The how to lather a sample, like we showed you yesterday. Yesterday I used pretty much exactly 1/4 teaspoon, and that was exactly as much soap as I needed. And so I'm going to duplicate that again. I'm going to be a little technical in my evaluation of this because part of the reason to test this is so that the Oz Shaving folks that sent it to me get a report and research about how people are using their product and how it does for them. All right, and so we've got a 1/4 teaspoon of soap right there. And so I can tell you yesterday's shave, I did not even use a post-shave product at all, and it went just fine. Now I do have oily skin, and so that's part of it, but it is clear that this soap is trying to make post-shave comfort and moisturization, one of its goals. And it looks like it's accomplishing that pretty well. So you guys with, dry skin issues and all that, this might be in that group of soaps that can really help you out. The bitten that I used yesterday is very comfortable, very much like this 1800. It's got a lot more bristles, so I'm interested to see what happens with this smaller knot. Cleaning my little scooping spoon there. So now we've got the 1/4 teaspoon pressed into the bottom of my lather bowl, 3D printed by Roger Quintero, and I'll put a link to the pattern files in case you want to 3D print your own. I'll put that in the description. Razor's loaded. Time to load my face with a little bit of pre-shave water. I've had a few days recently where the temperatures were in 74, and it's February. And even in North Carolina, February can get really cold. But for a few days it warmed up, and the tap water was nice. It was not cold, it was just cool and room temperature, but we are back to very cold tap water right now. Temperatures outside are really cold. All right, so I'm going to shake most of the water out of the brush, similar to what I did yesterday. And now let us start. Did not have a problem yesterday with making sure all of the soap got used up and put in the lather, meaning that when I was at the end of the shave, I didn't look at the bowl and see more soap stuck to the walls. I was able to pick up everything with the brush. And like usual, it is bubbly and lathery at first. Bubbly and airy at first. So funny how some soaps at this point just are pasty and just stick to the bottom of the bowl. They don't get frothy and foamy like this at all. Soaps are just different. I reckon it's just all chemistry. Yeah, look at that. Very airy. Look how tight the structure is, how rigid. All right, I feel like now it's a good time to start adding water. And my water is hard water, and since we know I had a good shave yesterday, we know this soap is hard water tolerant. It's also nice to know how much water is about the amount I'll be adding. So I went ahead and just added a teaspoon right away instead of going a little slower. I won't bother mixing it fully since I know I'm going to go further than that. Just kind of mixing it in general, because since we're going to be mixing more. All right, so that's 2. Let's go ahead and mix this. Years ago when I was just learning and I hadn't heard about any of the support sites online, didn't know that Amazon had a collection of shaving gear, eBay, I didn't know it was a good place to get stuff. I didn't know that the vintage razors were still a huge market, or were just so available. What I had was my Vanderhagen kit from Walmart, and pretty good soap. And the blades were all right. A little overpriced if you buy the blades by themselves. You know, $5 for 5 blades. That's just ridiculous. And I learned, because that was the only soap I used. I had one brush. I had the kind of the apothecary style mug that came with it. And so I learned the exact right amount of water to put in my mug. And then at the time, I didn't know about bowl lathering. I was just using a mug and then going to my face. And so I learned how much water to put in to the soap. And then that would get me the right ratio. And so, if you're in that same boat, one of the benefits of just kind of sticking with one soap base is you learn it, and you can learn the shortcuts of it. So you don't have to fool around like I do or other people do by adding just a little bit of water at a time. Some soaps you have to add water slowly, even if you know exactly how much you're going to use. But others, you can just add it all in there and then just mix until it comes together just right. And it was so nice to finally dial that in one day. And this is looking very nice. Another pass in the bowl. Now that we've got some elasticity there, take a look at that and see how that tip just kind of falls back into the bowl. It's a good sign of some nice elastic, but it's still got plenty of structure. And so normally I might want to add some water to it. But let's learn my lesson from yesterday. Also, let's try to listen, pay attention to the scent here, because sometimes in subsequent days you get used to a few things about it and you start noticing different things. So let's see. It was very light. I could only smell it yesterday when my nose was in the bowl. Couldn't really smell it while I was using it. And so now we'll do the fingertip test, which is going to be testing the cushion by squeezing. A little bit of resistance there. And then move my thumb along my fingerprints there. I can just tell that I have ridges in my fingerprints, so that's probably a really good sign. Let's go ahead and stop there. If this is too dry, if I've gone the other way and this is too dry, an easy way to rectify that is just add some more water into the lather, or add some water to your face during the shave. So that's an easy way to get past that. Usually I find it's a little easier to go that way than to try to recover one that's a little too wet. All right, water on the face one more time. Okay, let's see how it works. This brush is just already terrific. The 1800 has some premium grade hair on Semogue's kind of spectrum. And then it's also got some extra grade hair, which is 2 notches down from premium. And so I guess they're trying to let you see and experience the attributes of each. Like maybe one brings to the table some backbone, the other brings to the table a little bit of scrub, the other brings to the table some comfort and splay. That's probably what they're, trying to do. Very comfortable. Excuse me. Looks good on my neck. A few little clumpy areas, but generally looks pretty good, so I'm not going to try to add more water to it. Very good. And yeah, we're looking at 2.5 teaspoons of water is what I added to the lather afterwards. I can tell that it has a smell, but it's still very light, so that really hasn't changed from yesterday. It's kind of an unscented soap when you have it on your face and you're using it. If you want to stick your nose in the bowl, then you'll be able to get a whiff, at least if your nose is like mine. All right, the mild RazoRock Mamba. All right. Ooh. Tell you what, folks, if you have not tried a really sharp blade like a feather in a mild razor, it is a wonderful thing. The mild razor kind of tames the beast a little bit, and so you get the best of both worlds. You get the comfort of a smooth shave, but then you also get the beast. You also get a close shave. And those are the two things that we all kind of look for in a shave: comfort and efficiency, and good cutting, closeness. I kind of group efficiency, good cutting, and closeness all together in one spot there. Excellent. That was just a smooth shave. I didn't really feel the blade on my skin. Very nice. And rinse. The first rinse was slick, but it wasn't creamy and super luxurious, and that is typical for me. There shouldn't be a ding on the lather because I don't do any pre-shave to remove the skin oils and things like that. But usually the comfortable passes, the comfortable rinses come on the next ones after this. All right, so load up the brush. This is a very nice lather in terms of feel when you apply it. It's just got nice, smooth feels. There's something in here, almost like a mint or something. I don't know if it's my imagination, but it seems like there's something in there that's... I'm glad it's very light, because I don't really like mint in my... And menthol. I don't really like menthol in my shave soaps. Excellent glide and protection again with this soap here. And notice for you beginners, this is not some thick Santa Claus beard type experience. That's not what you're going for. All right, this will probably be even more comfortable than the first pass. We're also dealing with just 1 day of growth. All right, cross grain. Yeah, that's funny. This is actually, I can feel the blade more. Probably because it's the cross grain pass instead of the with the grain. I'm not really feeling the cutting. I'm feeling the blade touching the hairs, you know, and the hair's kind of being moved. After I sweep over an area like I just did, there is still some residual slickness there, and so that's nice. It's not a ton, but so you could go back if you did it quickly enough to do a little extra buffing or something if you wanted to. Did I get everything? I think so. Let's rinse this away. And like I predicted, that rinse was more creamy. It wasn't super creamy, but as you saw, I mean, I'd pretty much removed all the soap from my face. But still, there was a nice luxurious feel and a nice slickness as I did a mostly rinse. I didn't rinse all the way. All right, so let's load up our brush again. So here's what our lather is looking like at this point. Looks like I have plenty to do the job. Also, this brush, I think it's stopped shedding by now, and that's pretty amazing. A lot of them keep going for a little while. Tremendous brush, it really is. I could use this brush for the rest of my life. It's just very, very comfortable. Not much scrub to it. That's kind of the way I like it. I don't need big knots because, as you can see, I don't shave my whole face. So I need to have maneuvering room, and so the big knots are kind of lost on me. I wonder if I can pick up any new scent notes. Not really. Not really any notes at all. Something's coming through, and it's more like it's in the mint or fresh category, but it's really funny. I'm experiencing it, but I'm not really smelling it, if that makes any sense. Well, Mamba is living up to its reputation. Very happy with it. Oh, so a little bit of a weeper right over here. Didn't feel it. Didn't notice it. Must have happened on the second pass, I guess. And that's what the feather can sometimes do to you. It's just so sharp that it cuts and shears off a little bit, and you almost don't even know it until you rinse or something like that. Yeah, you can see it right there if the camera's good enough. But it's very slow. I don't even think I need to put any alum on that or anything. All right, did I cover everything with the razor? Was that the third pass, I think? Ooh, that's a good looking cut in my little litmus test area right there. Rinse time. That's a really good cut, and the feather is capable of doing that for me very often. And it's crazy that this is the same cut I get with a mild razor that I also get with a more aggressive razor. Same result. It's just that the mild one leaves me with a lot more comfort. It's just the way it goes. Maybe somebody could get it in 2 passes if they were the kind of person who can go against the grain, but I can't do that, especially on my neck. It just bothers me like crazy. So I have no areas of irritation, and I didn't even feel anything when I rinsed my little weeper right there. He's just not bothering me at all, 0. And lately I've had a ding right here. I don't know what it was, but anytime I went over that spot, I would just get a twinge, but not a problem today. So this lather is in that family, like I mentioned, of kind of the lower structure, but this is a good lather. This is a good mix that he's got right now in this tester base. I definitely wouldn't be sad if this base was the only one I had for the rest of my life. It's just a good solid base. It gave me a good glide. I do prefer, like I said, kind of the fattier ones, the heavier lathers. I don't know if heavier is the right word, but kind of fattier, like the Bison base compared to the Icarus base from Declaration Grooming. I prefer the Bison just a little bit more. And so I've got plenty of lather left for maybe 2 passes if I wanted to. So that 1/4 teaspoon is going a reasonable amount. It's not, it's about the same as some of the competitors like Barrister and Man and Holy Cow and all those guys. Those need about a 1/4 teaspoon as well to do the job. It's got a nice kind of viscosity to it, a bit of cushion. Protected me pretty well. Yeah, I guess it's not quite as slick as some, and my guess is that is because of those post-shave ingredients like oils and butters that might slow it down just a hair, but it's negligible, really. I think it's a very nice base. If he's going to make some tweaks to it to make it better, and it gets even better than this, then that's even nicer. So my vote, it's a great base, and I think it does compete pretty well with a lot of the other, at least in my book, with what I'm looking for, with a lot of the soaps and the new bases that are coming out lately. So I think it's a very good offering. Obviously, my preference would be toward a stronger scent. He can decide which way he goes in that department. So, and it did not dry out at all. One bit. So very nice. All right, time to clean up. So I'm just drying my brush. Like I mentioned, with these boars I'm on a little kick on lately. I'm just really enjoying them, especially this guy. Very soft. Does the job great in terms of stirring up the soap if I'm digging it out of a puck, or whether it's already been put in the bottom of the lather bowl. And so right now I'm just drying it. This is especially something that I like to do when it's a boar, and I want to help it to increase its splay a little bit, but to be honest, I don't feel like I need to do that. I feel like this splay is plenty good enough because it splays nicely already when it's on my face being pressed in. And so what we're doing is drying it to help create the split ends, and you can see some of them on there. And actually what I did was I took I have a database entry for all my shaves, and I created another page, a query that pulls together the number of uses for each of the boars that I've got. And so what I'm going to start doing now that I had 3 boars that I had worked on a couple weeks ago, and brought them up to about 5 uses each. And then I have another 3 boars, including the ones I've used lately, the 1800, the one from Sterling, and the B10 from Zenith. And I've now brought those up to about 4 or 5 shaves each. And so now I've got about 6 boars that are in this camp together now. They're all on even playing fields. And what I want to do is just take the one that has the least amount of shaves and use it for that day. And so then they'll all grow up together, and I can watch their progress and watch them develop along with each other. And I can tell you right now, the Sterling boar is one of the slowest to develop. It's still quite scrubby, and whereas this guy's super smooth already. But that's okay, because not all boars will accelerate in the same way. I hope that the Sterling will get there maybe 3 weeks from now. Who knows? But anyway, we'll watch them all grow up together and see what happens. This one is comparable to the 1250, I think it is. In looks, the 1250 just doesn't have the ink, the dyed band, and it has what I told you was this has the premium grade hair and the extra grade hair. Well, the best is right between, and I believe that the 1250 has the best hair. It's not a mix like this one is. It's got that best, and so we'll use it tomorrow because it's got the same number of uses as this one now. And so we'll use it tomorrow. It'll be interesting to see if I can detect any difference between the 1800, which is the mix of two grades, and the 1250. It's either 1250 or 1260. Can't remember. Between those two. That'll be cool to see. Yesterday, I put it in the description of my video, but I'll go ahead and say it now. The next morning, my face felt nice and moisturized, silky smooth, better than usual. You know, I do have oily skin, so at some point the moisturization from the shave gives way to the natural oils that come in. But it doesn't usually feel that good. And so to me, it seems like the post-shave properties of this soap are very strong. I'm not the ultimate, perceiver of that, but that's the way I see it from now. Let's keep cleaning up. At the end of the video, we'll do a little razor tour of the Mamba, just in case. I can't remember if I've ever done one or not. We'll do a little in-depth razor tour to show you the different components and whatnot in a more close-up level. All right, just about done cleaning up. As far as the closeness of the shave, really happy with it. Just see some tips, no length on the tips, which is usual for me. And so this is above average, and no irritation. Face feels nice and moisturized. No dryness or shrinking feeling in the face. So, happy with that. All right. So the love mild razors like the Mamba, especially when you throw a really sharp blade in there. It really is like it's like a lion that you can control, strength under control. The blade and razor did great. Love this little 1800. Super happy with it. It's going to get softer, and that's going to be nuts when more and more hair starts splitting. Happy with this test base. Very nice. And I think we'll now move on to the razor tour. So if you don't care about a Mamba, you can tune out. It's been great having you tonight. All right. So this is this one I think is titanium handle, and if it gets soapy and wet, it sometimes feels maybe a little bit slippery because it's not going to slip in this direction, but it could slip possibly in a turny direction. But I've never really had a problem with it, and I think I like the looks of it. And I like sometimes this little cutout right here, because sometimes that's a great place to put one of your fingers. But generally, I'll hold a grip like this so that the razor has an ability to move. But this is the handle, kind of rounded bottom, kind of a mirror finish this one has. And it's made really well. All parts of this are made really well. And I believe when you buy the Mamba, you can kind of pick your handle, like the halo handle or the radio knob or any of those. So here's the head when it's kind of together. You can see how it's just a very gradual arch right there that it puts the blade on. And then there's plenty of area for the stubble and shaving cream to lather to come through and flow out and not get all stuck or anything like that. And of course you can see that we have, it's a Canadian manufacturer. We even have a serial number and then the name of the razor over on this side. Stainless steel, the head is, and so I think about $50 is the price point on the Mamba. And so that's a pretty reasonable price for what could be a lifetime razor for you. Much less likely to break if you drop it in the shower, unlike some of those Semogue razors like the Jaggers or or the mercurs as such, and much more likely to stick around and resist corrosion and things like that. So we'll take the top cap off. The top cap does not have any kind of posts in it. It's actually got 2 holes, and then of course the bolt. There's it's not sharp at all. It's been buffed down nicely. You're not going to get cut or anything. And then the base plate here has the 2 posts, kind of like a few other razors out there. And as long as you hold it this way, it's pretty easy to put the blade on there without any kind of drama. This is a head that's long enough to where the edges of the razor do not stick out. I actually like to have the edges stick out just a hair, but it's not really a bother. And then of course we got the hole for the post, and it's milled out very nicely. Simple, elegant. And then these posts are terrific. They're milled at just the right shape, size, so that when you put the blade on there, it doesn't wiggle, it doesn't move. And so it's going to be aligned correctly every single time, and that's nice. And so they just fit together like a very expensive Lego. Then we'll bring in the handle. Now this feels like a razor that holds the blade from the top and bottom very close to the edge. Kind of like maybe the Christopher Bradley from Carve, or the Wolfman WR1 series, like the Gillette Tex, the vintage Gillette Tex, the RazoRock Game Changer. They all hold it right close to the edge, and while the top does do that, the bottom doesn't. As you saw, the groove there is there, but I don't know, maybe it's because of the geometry. It just doesn't feel like a razor doesn't have a good grip, and so it feels very stable and consistent. And that's, to me, that's very I'm very happy about that. That is something I usually look for when I buy a new razor. New one comes out, I look to make sure that it holds pretty close to the edge. There's so many out there right now, the DE89s and most of the mercurs and that sort of thing, that they hold the top pretty far out near the edge, but the bottom is just like a couple of strips in the middle, and that can produce a noisy edge, and sometimes a little bit inconsistent edge, and is usually not quite as smooth, but a lot of people enjoy it, so it's good for some people. All right, so I think that's a pretty good tour of the Mamba with this particular handle. I don't actually know what the name of this one is, the handle. So this is the original Mamba, not the Mamba 70. That's a little bit has a little bit thicker blade, wider blade gap, makes it a little more aggressive. Maybe it puts it into the mid-range, where this is on the mild range, in my opinion. But it's mild, but still quite efficient, as you can see by, I did not have to do another half pass like I sometimes do for the fourth pass. Stuck with 3 and had a great result. That's above average for my experience. So it may be mild, but it works really well. Let's test out his moisturization properties by using an alcohol-based splash with nothing kind for your skin at all, I'm pretty sure. It sure doesn't look like there's anything. Fragrance and colors and chemicals. But this is a nice scent that I like from Clubman. A tiny bit of stinging, but not very much at all. So it means my technique was pretty good. And I'll try to report in and add something to the description maybe in how everything feels in an hour, or maybe in several hours when I wake up. Very nice. I hope there was something here that helped you. Cleanup's all done, so we're ready to head on out of here. You take care. Have a good night. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves.